In the quiet space between a heartbeat and a prayer, a life begins. Not with noise, not with certainty, but with trust. A trust placed inside you, right? A sacred amana, fragile, unseen, yet more powerful than anything you have ever held. And in this moment, whether you feel ready or not, you are no longer walking alone. There is a soul growing in the unseen, depending on your choices, your patience, your awareness, even your silence. Pause, because what you place on your plate becomes part of a story that is still being written. There are foods that nourish, and there are foods that quietly harm, not with loud warnings, not with immediate pain, but with whispers, subtle, hidden, dangerous in ways most people never question. And that is why this message matters, because sometimes the smallest habit carries the greatest consequence. Tonight, you are not just listening to a speech. You are standing at a crossroads between awareness and regret, between protection and neglect, between a future filled with strength, or one shadowed by avoidable harm. And maybe, just maybe, this is not a coincidence. Maybe you were meant to hear this at this exact moment, because guidance does not always arrive as comfort. Sometimes it comes as truth, the kind that shakes you gently, wakes you up, and reminds you of your responsibility. You were chosen for this journey, not by accident, not by chance, but by a wisdom greater than your understanding. And with that choice comes a test, not of perfection, but of intention. Will you protect what has been entrusted to you, or will you let ignorance decide what awareness could prevent? In the moments ahead, we will uncover 6 critical realities, 6 hidden dangers that many overlook, yet carry the weight of serious consequences during pregnancy. These are not myths. These are not exaggerations. These are truths every mother deserves to know, and before it is too late. Listen closely, not with fear, yet but with purpose, because knowledge, when guided by faith, becomes protection, and protection becomes love in its purest form. And perhaps, by the end of this journey, you will not only change what you eat, but how you see yourself, how you carry this trust, and how you honor the miracle growing quietly within you. There are things that appear harmless, ordinary, even nourishing at first glance. A beautifully cooked meal, a familiar taste, a craving answered without hesitation. But beneath the surface of certain foods lies a hidden risk, one that does not announce itself with warning, one that does not ask for permission before it harms. Raw and undercooked foods carry this quiet danger. It begins with something as simple as a bite, soft, delicate textures. A runny egg, a piece of meat not fully cooked, seafood that looks fresh but has not faced the fire long enough. To the senses, it feels natural. To the body, it may seem acceptable to work, but within that softness can live invisible threats. Bacteria and parasites that your body might once have fought off with ease, but now, in this sacred state of pregnancy, your defenses are different, more gentle, more vulnerable, more focused on preserving the life within. And this is where awareness becomes an act of protection. Because what enters your body does not walk alone anymore. It travels deeper. It reaches further. It touches a life that has no shield but you. Bacteria like Listeria, Salmonella, and Toxoplasma do not arrive with noise. They do not declare their presence. They settle quietly, often without immediate symptoms, while inside they may begin to disrupt what is meant to grow in peace. A moment of carelessness, a single meal prepared without full attention, can open a door that should have remained closed. Think about the unseen. The flame that fully cooks your food is not just heat, it is a barrier, a protection, a silent guardian that transforms what could harm into something safe. When that process is incomplete, when the center remains raw or the preparation is rushed, that protection is weakened. And yet, many do not realize this. Many continue as they always have, trusting habits formed long before pregnancy, unaware that what was once safe may no longer be so. This is not about fear. It is about awakening. It is about understanding that your body is now a sanctuary, and every choice you make within it echoes beyond you. The child growing inside does not choose what it receives. It simply receives, without question, without resistance. So when you look at your plate, see beyond the surface. Ask yourself not only if it satisfies your craving, but if it protects your trust. Even foods that appear carefully prepared can carry risk if hygiene is overlooked. Cross contamination, unclean surfaces, improperly stored ingredients, these are silent pathways through which harm can travel. And they are often ignored because they cannot be seen. But faith teaches awareness in the unseen. It reminds us that responsibility is not only in what is obvious, yeah, but in what is hidden. And in this journey, every careful choice becomes an act of love. Every moment of awareness becomes a shield. Every decision to protect becomes a quiet prayer in action. There are cravings that rise without warning, deep, persistent, almost whispering from within. And among them, one of the most common is the desire for something cold, smooth, and comforting. A glass of fresh milk, a slice of soft cheese, a spoonful of creamy indulgence. It feels pure. It feels nourishing. It feels right. But not everything that feels pure is protected. Unpasteurized dairy products carry a hidden uncertainty, one that does not reveal itself through taste, smell, or appearance. Milk that has not been pasteurized, cheeses made from raw milk, and certain traditional preparations may seem closer to nature, closer to authenticity, yet they may also carry bacteria that remain alive, untouched, and dangerous in this delicate time. And the danger here is subtle, because it does not announce itself with discomfort. It does not immediately disturb your peace. It can exist quietly within the body, moving through systems, reaching places it should never reach. Bacteria like Listeria can pass beyond your defenses, entering the bloodstream, crossing barriers, and touching the fragile life that depends entirely on your protection. This is where the illusion lies, the belief that natural always means safe, that traditional always means pure, that what has been consumed for generations cannot possibly bring harm. But pregnancy is not an ordinary state. It is a transformation, a shift in how the body responds, how it protects, how it balances between strength and vulnerability. And in this state, what once seemed harmless may no longer be so. Soft cheeses, especially those that are unpasteurized, can become silent carriers. Their texture may feel comforting, their taste rich and satisfying, yet within them may exist a risk that does not belong in this journey. Even raw milk, often praised for its perceived benefits, can carry unseen pathogens that resist the body's reduced defenses during pregnancy. It is not about rejecting nourishment. It is about choosing the form of nourishment that carries safety within it. Pasteurization is not a loss of purity. It is a process of protection, a gentle transformation that removes what could harm while preserving what the body needs. It is a reminder that sometimes safety requires change, and wisdom requires letting go of old habits. And still, many overlook this. They follow cravings. They trust familiarity. They they assume that what feels good must also be good. But pregnancy invites a deeper awareness, one that goes beyond feeling, beyond assumption, into conscious choice. Because now, every sip, every bite, every moment of indulgence is shared. The life within does not filter what it receives. It does not question. It does not resist. It trusts you completely. So, in those quiet moments, when you reach for something comforting, pause gently. Reflect not only on what you desire, but on what you are allowing to become part of this sacred process. There is strength in restraint, there is wisdom in awareness, and there is love in choosing what protects. Even when something else calls more strongly to your senses, there are flavors that feel alive the moment they touch your tongue. Sharp, vibrant, almost electric. A squeeze of fresh juice, a bowl of cut fruits glistening in the light, a salad prepared quickly from what seems pure and untouched. It feels like health. It feels like vitality. It feels like something the body would welcome without question. But not everything that appears fresh is truly safe. Unwashed fruits and vegetables, and juices that are not properly prepared or pasteurized can carry more than just natural goodness. On their surfaces, in their skins, within the tiny spaces you cannot see, there may exist traces of soil, bacteria, or parasites that have traveled from the earth, from water, from human handling. These are not visible to the eye. They do not change the color or the fragrance. They remain hidden, waiting quietly for a moment to enter the body. And in pregnancy, that moment carries a different weight because your body, in its wisdom, has softened certain defenses. It is no longer fighting only for you, it is nurturing, preserving, and protecting another life. This delicate balance means that even a small exposure, something your body might have once managed without difficulty, can now become a source of risk. Think of the journey of a single leaf of lettuce, from soil to harvest, from transport to market, from hands to preparation. At every stage, it passes through environments that may introduce unseen contaminants. If it is not washed thoroughly, if care is rushed or overlooked, those invisible traces remain. And when consumed, they enter a system that is now more sensitive, more open, more vulnerable. Fresh juices carry a similar illusion, especially those prepared outside from unknown sources, without pasteurization or strict hygiene. They promise energy, refreshment, a quick answer to thirst or fatigue. But if the fruits are not properly cleaned, if the equipment is not sterile, if the water used is not pure, the drink may carry bacteria like E. coli or salmonella, organisms that do not belong in this sacred phase of life. It is not about rejecting freshness, it is about honoring the process that makes freshness safe. Washing fruits and vegetables thoroughly, peeling when necessary, preparing juices at home with care and clean water. These are not small actions. They are acts of awareness, acts of protection, acts of responsibility that echo beyond the moment. And yet, in the rush of daily life, these steps are often shortened. A quick rinse instead of a thorough wash, a trust placed in appearances rather than process, a belief that what looks clean must be clean. But truth does not always reveal itself on the surface, and pregnancy calls you to look deeper, to understand that what you consume is not only nourishment, it is influence. It shapes, it supports, it protects, or it quietly harms. So when you hold that fruit, when you prepare that meal, when you reach for something that feels pure, pause for a moment. Let intention guide your hands. Let awareness slow you down, just enough to ensure that what enters your body carries not only life, but safety within it. There are moments when the body asks for comfort, not loudly but persistently. A warm cup in your hands, the familiar aroma rising gently, the quiet ritual of a sip that steadies your thoughts and softens your day. For many, that comfort comes in the form of caffeine, tea, coffee, soft drinks, even chocolate, woven into routines so deeply that they feel almost essential. But during pregnancy, even comfort must be questioned with care. Caffeine is subtle. It does not appear threatening. It sharpens the mind, lifts fatigue, brings a sense of alertness that feels helpful, especially when the body is already carrying more weight, more emotion, more change. Yet beneath that temporary clarity lies a stimulant that moves quickly through your system and beyond it, because what you consume no longer remains yours alone. Caffeine crosses the placenta with ease, entering the space where new life is forming, where every cell is developing in delicate, precise rhythm. And unlike your body, which can process and break down caffeine with relative efficiency, the developing baby does not yet have the ability to do so. The substance lingers longer, affecting a system that is still learning how to exist. And the effect is not always visible. There is no immediate signal, no clear warning that something is wrong. It accumulates quietly, sip by sip, day by day. A second cup because the first did not feel like enough. A sweet drink to ease a craving. A piece of chocolate to lift the mood. Each one small on its own, yet together forming a pattern that may exceed what is safe. This is where awareness becomes essential. Because moderation is not always instinctive. It requires intention. It requires you to pause in the middle of habit and ask, how much is too much now? Excessive caffeine intake has been linked to risks that no mother wishes to face. Low birth weight, increased heart rate in the baby, even complications that may arise silently over time. These are not immediate outcomes, but possibilities that grow when limits are ignored. And yet, the challenge lies in how easily caffeine hides. It is not only in coffee, it exists in tea, in certain sodas, in energy drinks, in foods that do not always declare their content loudly. It becomes part of daily life in ways that are easy to overlook, especially when fatigue becomes a constant companion. But pregnancy invites a different kind of strength, not the strength to push through exhaustion with stimulants, but the strength to listen to the body, to rest when needed, to nourish energy through gentler, safer means. Water, balanced nutrition, moments of stillness, these become deeper sources of renewal even if they require more patience. And there is something else, something quieter. The realization that not every craving must be answered in the same way it once was. That discipline, when guided by love, becomes an act of protection. That choosing less of something comforting now can mean more safety for the life you carry. So when you reach for that cup, when the habit calls softly, pause for a breath. Feel the moment. Recognize the choice before you. And let awareness shape what comes next, allowing intention to gently replace impulse, allowing care to rise above routine, allowing each decision to reflect the trust that has been placed within you. There are foods that seem small, almost insignificant in the moment they are taken. A slice of deli meat folded into bread, a chilled sausage, a ready to eat sandwich prepared in haste, something convenient, something quick, something that asks for no effort at all. In the rhythm of a busy day, these choices feel practical. They answer hunger without delay. They fit into the spaces where time feels too tight to cook, too narrow to pause. But convenience can sometimes carry a quiet cost. Processed and ready to eat meats, especially those that are not reheated properly, can become pathways for bacteria that thrive in conditions you cannot see. Even when stored in cold environments, even when they appear fresh and neatly packaged, they may carry organisms like listeria, resilient, silent, and capable of surviving where many others cannot. Refrigeration slows it but does not always stop it. And in pregnancy, that distinction matters because your body is not responding as it once did. Its priorities have shifted. Its defenses are carefully balanced, focused on sustaining life rather than aggressively eliminating every potential threat. This creates a space where certain bacteria, once easily controlled, may now find an opportunity to persist. Deli meats, cold cuts, smoked meats, and pre-cooked products that are eaten without reheating can carry this hidden uncertainty. The process of slicing, packaging, transporting, and storing introduces multiple points where contamination can occur. Each step handled by different hands, different environments, different levels of care. And while regulations exist, perfection is never guaranteed. What feels ready may not be ready for you now. The heat that cooks food thoroughly is more than preparation. It is protection. When these meats are heated until steaming, until they reach a temperature that eliminates harmful bacteria, they become safer. But when consumed cold, straight from the package or lightly handled, that protective step is missing. And often this is overlooked because these foods are familiar, because they are widely consumed, because they are marketed as safe and convenient. The mind does not immediately question them. The habit continues without reflection, but pregnancy asks for reflection. It asks you to look beyond what is easy, beyond what is quick, and to consider what is truly safe in this moment of transformation. It invites you to slow down, even when life feels fast, to choose preparation over convenience, to prioritize protection over habit. There's also a deeper awareness here, the understanding that not all risks are loud. Some are quiet, patient, waiting for a moment when attention fades. And it is in these quiet spaces that responsibility becomes most important. The life within you does not recognize convenience. It does not measure time or effort. It simply receives what is given, trusting that what reaches it is safe, is clean, is worthy of its growth. So when you stand before a quick choice, when something easy calls your name, allow a moment of stillness to enter. Let that stillness remind you that every decision carries weight now, that every shortcut has an impact, that every act of care, no matter how small it seems, becomes part of a larger protection unfolding quietly within you. There are things we consume not out of hunger, but out of habit, curiosity, or the quiet belief that a little won't matter. A herbal drink passed down through generations, a supplement recommended by a friend, a remedy whispered as natural, gentle, and safe. It feels comforting to trust what is familiar, what carries the language of tradition, what promises benefit without harm. But not everything that is natural is harmless. Certain herbs, unregulated supplements, and even some types of fish carry risks that are not immediately understood. They do not come with clear instructions. They do not always reveal their effects openly. And yet, within them may exist compounds that influence the body in ways that are too strong, too unpredictable, or simply not safe during pregnancy. Herbal teas, for example, may seem soothing, a warm ritual, a moment of calm. But some herbs can stimulate the uterus, alter hormone levels, or interfere with the delicate balance your body is trying to maintain. Names that sound gentle, leaves that appear harmless, can still carry powerful biological effects. And without proper knowledge, without guidance grounded in science and care, these effects remain uncertain. Supplements follow a similar path. Not all are created equal. Not all are tested with the same rigor. Some may contain ingredients in concentrations that exceed what is safe. Others may interact with your body in ways that are not fully understood. The label may promise strength, energy, or enhanced health, but pregnancy is not a time for experimentation. It is a time for clarity, for simplicity, for choosing only what is known to protect rather than what merely claims to help. And then there is fish, a source of nourishment, rich in nutrients that support growth and development. Yet within certain types of fish lies another hidden concern: mercury, a substance that accumulates silently in the body, that cannot be seen or tasted, that builds over time with repeated exposure. Large, predatory fish, those that live longer and consume others, tend to carry higher levels of this toxin. And mercury does not remain contained. It travels. It crosses into the same space where life is forming, where the brain and nervous system are developing in intricate, sensitive patterns. Even small amounts over time can influence this process in ways that are not immediately visible, but deeply significant. This is where discernment becomes essential. Not avoidance of all things, but careful selection. Choosing fish that are known to be lower in mercury, limiting intake rather than consuming without awareness, seeking guidance before introducing herbs or supplements into your routine. Asking not only, is this natural, but is this safe for this moment? Because pregnancy is not just about what you add, it is about what you protect. It is about recognizing that your body is no longer a place for uncertainty. It is a place for intention, a place where every substance, every ingredient, every decision becomes part of a larger story unfolding quietly beneath the surface. And in that story, trust is everything. The life within you trusts what it receives. It does not question origins, does not measure risk, does not choose between safe and unsafe. It simply accepts completely fully, without hesitation. So let your choices be guided by awareness, not assumption. Let your actions reflect care, not convenience. Let every addition to your body pass through a moment of reflection where knowledge stands beside faith, where caution walks beside hope, where protection becomes a silent promise carried in every decision you make.